$3.5 billion. That's how much was invested in artificial intelligence startups in just the first 2 weeks of November 2025. You're not in a quarter, in 2 weeks. Companies are racing to build machines that can do your job faster, cheaper, and without complaints, without sick days, without existential crises, without needing meaning. And here, as the number that should keep you awake at night, businesses using these AI systems are reporting cost reductions of 50 to 70%. Think about that. 50 to 70%. That's not efficiency. That's elimination. And you might be the cost being eliminated. Welcome to the most absurd moment in human history. Welcome to the age where $3.5 billion is betting that you are replaceable. And strangely enough, a French philosopher who died in 1960 might be the only one who can help you survive it. Albert Camus never saw a computer, never heard of artificial intelligence, never imagined a world where machines could write, create, analyze, and think. But he understood something fundamental about human existence that becomes more relevant with every $1 billion invested in replacing us. He understood what it means to live in a universe that doesn't need you. And he understood how to find meaning, dignity, and even happiness in the face of complete cosmic indifference. If you think the universe not caring about you is terrifying, wait until you realize that your employer, your industry, and the entire economy might not need you either. That's not philosophy anymore. That's your Monday morning. Let's be honest about what's happening. The headlines talk about innovation, transformation, disruption. They use words like efficiency and optimization, but let's translate that into human language. When a company reduces operational costs by 50 to 70% using AI, what are they reducing? They're reducing you, your salary, your benefits, your position, your purpose. Every dollar of that $3.5 billion is a bet that human labor, human creativity, human thinking can be replicated by machines, and not someday in the distant future. Now, this month, this year, the machines that will take your job aren't being invented. They're being deployed. They're already in the building, and they're very, very good at what they do. This creates a crisis that goes far beyond economics. Yes, you might lose your job. Yes, you might struggle to pay rent, but the deeper wound is existential. For most of human history, we've defined ourselves by our work. I am a writer. I am an analyst. I am a designer. I am a developer. Our jobs aren't just how we make money. They're how we make meaning. They're how we answer the question, what am I for? And now, for the first time in history, that question has a terrifying possible answer. Nothing. You're not for anything. A machine can do it better. You are, in the coldest economic terms, unnecessary, redundant, replaceable. This is the absurd made concrete. This is Camus' philosophy walking into your office and handing you a pink slip. But here's where it gets interesting, because Camus didn't just diagnose the absurd. He showed us how to live with it, and his prescription is more relevant now than ever. See, most people are responding to AI anxiety in one of two ways. The first is denial. They tell themselves it won't happen to them. Their job is safe. Their skills are unique. The machines aren't that good yet. This is what Camus would call philosophical suicide. It's closing your eyes to reality because reality is too uncomfortable. It's choosing comfortable lies over difficult truths. And it's dangerous because it leaves you unprepared for what's coming. The second response is despair. If machines can do everything, why bother? If my work has no value, why work? If I'm replaceable, why try to be irreplaceable? This is the nihilism that Camus spent his entire career fighting against. It's logical in a way. If nothing matters, then nothing matters. But it's also a surrender. It's letting the absurd win. It's dying before you're dead. Camus offers a third path. Revolt, not revolution against the machines. Not smashing computers or protesting progress. Existential revolt. The decision to live fully, consciously, passionately, especially when there's no guarantee that your efforts matter. The choice to create meaning through the act of living. Not because the universe validates it, not because the economy needs it, but because you decide to. This is what it means to be human in the age of AI, not to compete with machines on their terms, but to embrace what machines cannot do, find meaning in meaninglessness. Think about condemned by the gods to push a boulder up a mountain, watch it roll down, and repeat forever. No purpose, no progress, no reward. Sound familiar? You work hard, you develop skills, you build a career, and then the boulder rolls down. A new technology makes your expertise obsolete. A machine does in seconds what took you years to master. And you start again, learning new skills that will themselves become obsolete, pushing another boulder up another mountain. This is the modern condition. This is what $3.5 billion is building, a world of endless Sisyphean labor where the goalposts never stop moving. But Camus says something radical about Sisyphus. He says we must imagine him happy, not because his situation isn't absurd. It is not because the boulder will ever stay at the top. It won't. But because Sisyphus has made a choice, he has accepted his fate without surrendering to it. He pushes the boulder not because it will accomplish anything, but because pushing is what he does. The struggle itself is enough to fill a man's heart. The meaning isn't in the outcome. It's in the engagement. It's in the conscious choice to continue. If you're still here, if this reframing of AI anxiety through Camus is hitting different than the usual tech panic or empty optimism, subscribe to continue exploring how ancient philosophy meets modern crises. Hit the like button if you're ready to revolt against both despair and denial, because this is just the beginning of understanding how to stay human when humanity itself seems optional. Here's what machines cannot do. They cannot decide that their existence matters. They cannot choose to find meaning in meaninglessness. They cannot revolt against absurdity. They can optimize, analyze, generate, and predict, but they can not look at a universe that doesn't need them and say, I will live fully anyway. That's uniquely human. That's what no amount of investment can replicate. And that's your advantage in a world trying to make you obsolete. The $3.5 billion is real. The 50 to 70% cost reductions are real. The jobs disappearing are real. I'm not here to tell you comfortable lies. Camus wouldn't. But here's what's also real. You get to choose how you respond. You can deny reality and be blindsided. You can despair and surrender, or you can revolt. You can decide that your value isn't determined by your economic utility, that your meaning isn't dependent on being needed by employers, that your humanity isn't measured by your productivity. This is what it means to live without appeal in 2025. You cannot appeal to job security because it doesn't exist. You cannot appeal to the economy to value you because it values efficiency. You cannot appeal to technology to slow down because it won't. There is no external authority that will tell you your life matters. No market, no algorithm, no investor. You have to decide that for yourself. You have to create that meaning from nothing. And that's not a burden. That's freedom. Terrifying freedom. The same freedom Camus wrote about, the freedom that comes when you stop needing external validation and start generating internal value. What does this look like practically? It means developing skills, not because they're marketable, but because they make you more alive. It means creating things not because AI can't, but because creating is how you exist fully. It means building relationships that no algorithm can optimize. It means experiencing moments that no machine can replicate. It means finding meaning in the struggle, not in the outcome. Because outcomes are increasingly controlled by forces beyond you. But the struggle, the engagement, the conscious choice to live fully, that's yours. That's always yours. No investment round can take it. The companies investing billions in AI are trying to solve a problem, human inefficiency. They want to eliminate the unpredictability, the emotion, the irrationality that comes with human workers, and they might succeed. They probably will succeed. But in doing so, they're accidentally proving Camus' point. They're proving that efficiency isn't meaning, that productivity isn't purpose, that the things that make us human, our absurdity, our irrationality, our desperate need for meaning in a meaningless universe, these aren't bugs to be fixed, they're features to be embraced. You might lose your job to AI statistically. Some of you watching this will, and it will hurt, it will be unfair. It will feel like the universe is confirming your worst fears about your own. But Camus would tell you something important in that moment. He would tell you that your relevance was never guaranteed, that it was always an illusion, that the universe never promised you meaning or purpose or security, and that this is actually liberating because now you can stop waiting for external validation and start creating internal meaning. Now you can stop competing with machines on their terms and start living on yours. The absurd hero in 2025 isn't the person who beats AI at its own game. That's a losing battle. The absurd hero is the person who recognizes that the game itself is absurd. That economic value isn't human value. That being replaceable by a machine doesn't make you worthless. It makes you human. The machines are efficient because they don't need meaning. You are inefficient because you do. And that need, that desperate, irrational, beautiful need for meaning, that's what makes you irreplaceable in the only way that matters. $3.5 billion says you're replaceable. Camus says you're not because you're economically valuable, but because you're conscious, because you can choose, because you can revolt against meaninglessness by creating meaning, because you can push your boulder knowing it will roll down and still find happiness in the pushing. That's not delusion. That's not denial. That's the most honest, most courageous, most human response to a world that increasingly doesn't need humans. So here's my question for you. The AI is coming. The jobs are changing. The old certainties are gone. What will you do? Will you deny it until it's too late? Will you despair and surrender? Or will you revolt? Will you decide that your meaning doesn't depend on your utility? Will you create value that no machine can replicate? Not because it's productive, but because it's human? Because that's the choice. That's always been the choice. Camus saw it 65 years ago, and now, with $3.5 billion betting against your relevance, it's time you saw it too. The boulder is rolling down. The machines are climbing up, and you're standing on the mountain wondering what the point is. The point is this. You get to decide, not the market, not the algorithm, not the investors. You. And in that decision, in that conscious choice to keep pushing despite everything, you become something no machine can ever be. You become human, fully, absurdly, beautifully human. And that, in the end, is the only victory that matters. Welcome to the revolt. Welcome to meaning in meaninglessness. Welcome to Camus Speaks.